Aloha. Oh, welcome to the Lava Channel. This is Market Tick for Monday, July 24th, 2023. This morning, Yellow, the trucking company we were speaking of yesterday, averted the strike with a last minute deal. And that one really was large enough to be a trigger for the powder keg of a market that we currently sit on. So no one knows what the Black Swan event will be by definition, but we're due for a visit. The UPS strike is still on for now, although I do expect them to reach a deal as well, so we'll see. And what this really boils down to is the cost of shipping will increase. So more inflation on that front will be coming. I'd like to put out a special thanks to the Resistance, Doug, Jim, Dave, Pepsi Me, Sprinkler Man, and Lance for keeping me motivated and supporting, as well as my friends Gerald, Oldman, Odin, and Perry. Both of you. I appreciate everyone that's been here so much, and I'll see you in the live stream later. And I'm looking forward to it. And happy Greg's back. So now, time for work. The Bank of Japan is considering a change in their policy as they expect a sharp increase in inflation as well. So they're going to take their cues from our central bank, stay in lockstep, and basically try to get in ahead of that. And, expecting some hikes there instead of their easing policy. This morning, we've got, for summary, we're looking at the NASDAQ rebalance to be a large mover and also expecting some PMI numbers that will tell us much about manufacturing. So those are due in today, but still no Fed speakers allowed due to the blackout period. And so they can't regulate the reactions to occurrences in the market like they're normally used. They'll float out a Fed president and they'll say something that will bring the market back into the territory where they want it. So we only have mainstream media for their use. So don't be surprised if there is a large move in the markets for a crazy story to come out over the next couple of days. And this could include anything like, say, aliens landing on the White House lawn, perhaps to pick up the white powder that they left behind. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and then don't be distracted. So on to the markets. And I'll be lightening up on this section since it's easy to see the current status really on watch, and it's also well covered by others. So I'm just going to give a short summary just to keep us on track. Right now, the dollar is very volatile right now. I've got the 10-year treasury up. You can see it's dropping and then just kind of being pretty crazy. So the dollar has strength relative to Europe and Eastern markets, and they're anticipating Wednesday's hike from the Federal Reserve. So right now, pre-market looks green toward open, and we should expect volatility within these next few days for sure. As of right now, gold and silver and oil are slightly up. I expect oil to be the winner of those as far as a move up. They're recovering their supply issues and other things like we discussed yesterday. So Bitcoin, crypto, Bitcoin had a failure. I see chance for more downside watching that 26,200 level. And it's going to have for kind of a low, maybe the 25.5 if we get lucky. We'll get that buy zone. But I'm looking for 28,550 and hold for a bit. So it should stop at the 28,550. Again, this is not financial advice. But the time frame for these moves is over the next couple of weeks for so, not today necessarily. But crypto is volatile, so we shall see. So I've got a trend I wanted to share that I see continuing. So it's big in the news. Public storage is buying self-storage. And if they do, they will become a giant. And the reason I say this is as people consolidate their living quarters due to inflation and the cost of living, they hold on to their stuff in hopes of moving out back on their own and realize that they won't be able to buy all of this stuff new again because of inflation. So they have fears of that. But we're going to have multi-generational families living together again. And this is kind of the same thing that happened back in 2009 when the cost of housing kind of skyrockets, people moving in together, kids moving in with grandparents moving back. And I think we're going to see that as a trend. And therefore, that's my call on the self storage. Uh, Time for my shameless plug. Quick note and reminder, if you like any of this content, please hit the like. And especially if you're new here, please consider subscribing so I can keep you on the right side of things. Okay, so on to what I think are reality checks for the long term. So this article came out about the federal government, how it could shut down in October. And they're talking about basically more arguments on the debt ceiling spending, that they use this as a tool to kind of each politically get their own way. You know, I say the government shutdowns, they kind of furlough people, but they just pay them when they come back. So I don't think this should be a huge concern. Um, this is an article that I'm going to put in the link down below. It was about the public storage making that bid. And so this is just going to, it's, yeah, as they say, unsolicited bid could lead to higher offers. We'll watch this for the future. Another trend that I had mentioned the other day is Airbnb. And this is talking about how Airbnb is a kind of losing their popularity. They really increased during the pandemic, and so they're spinning back down. And this is a little bit of details regarding that, but we'll watch that continue. So I think this has only started. And so there was a quote from Nick Gurley. So he is the CEO of real estate data analytics firm. They watch these numbers, and they're watching the short-term rental analytics called All the Rooms. And they're saying the bubble is already beginning to pop. This crash was to be expected. I agree with that. End of quote. He also says, quote, pandemic is over. Fewer people are working from home or vacationing in the states like Montana, Texas, and Tennessee. So demand is way down. So that's what's going on with that. We also need to be looking forward and considering the food shortages we were talking about. They remain at the forefront of concern in the real world because these are paired with a very scary rise in what they're now calling unhousing, basically homeless people. So currently, what is rising the most is wheat, rice, sugar, and coffee. And meat is being the unspoken food control. So you don't talk about the shortages of meat yet. And this one is so much a control factor that they're now trying to grow meat in a lab. So does that sound tasty to you? I don't know, lab burger? If they come out with, yeah, I don't know. I may go full vegetarian. I think I'm too socialized to even consider lab grown meat. How do you feel about that? In fact, comment with your favorite lab food recipe in the comments below. I'll start a cookbook with lab food recipes. This, it just doesn't sound good. So this is an article that I pulled up because I thought this was interesting. In light of all of our debt that we have, this is basically, it's regarding TJ Maxx for this particular article, but really it reflects the broader industry that they are really pushing credit cards. I know that every single shop out there, they are saying that this is also true. For instance, Sephora, like I said, this one is just TJ Maxx. All of these companies pushing their own credit cards. And I think that's a terrible thing personally. I think the rates are usury. They're above 25% on these, and this is really going to come back to bite us in the behind. And so the last thing that I wanted to bring up for us this morning before the market opens, I've got to get this out, is Craftsman. They are a good harbinger for manufacturing, and they have to shut their Fort Worth manufacturing plant, trying to cut their costs because the facility is struggling with their issues. They had supply chain problems. But I think this is, I like Craftsman tools. Personally, I think this is a harbinger of the American economy because it is one thing that we did manufacture. So I want to give a quick shout out to Rob Price for the commercial real estate solution of the week, converting abandoned industrial to agriculture business. There's many reasons this would be a great solution. So, anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. With this, I wish you all a green trading day, just a wonderful day in general. And all of my friends, I'll see you later. Until then, stay free.